Okay. So for ping framework, you have two boards as I mentioned. This is the Zinc 7 series board, that is my Ping Z2, and this is an Ultra Scale series board. These boards can be ZCU 104, 102, or any other boards. These are high-end boards, high-end applications. So coming to the framework, you learned how to use Vivado, right? So Vivado is for creating the hardware. It is a bottommost layer here. As you can see, it's mentioned a hardware layer. Vivado is shown here, right? So you have to create a bitstream file. That bitstream file will be loaded onto the board. Initially, the board will be like a blank whiteboard. There's nothing there. So once you load the bitstream, okay, some circuits will be there on the board. That circuits will be used up by these drivers here. That is, it will be taking these are the inputs. Okay, so this Linux kernel, it will be taking the this hardware. It will require some drivers to those drivers be giving instructions to the hardware, the bottommost layer. Okay, so where is it receiving that instructions from? These are the drivers. You generally create that in HLS or SDK, VITIS or SDK. Okay, this Linux kernel. So generally they are required for making the drivers. Drivers are responsible. They're like a mediator. Okay, between high layer and the most low layer. So the drivers enable the instruction transfer between the most higher layer and the lower layer. Okay, so that is the job being done here by the drivers. So these are the application libraries here. Okay, Pink libraries, DMAs, Xlink overlay. So generally these will have the basic libraries for your Pink. I mean for the Python applications or which are applications you're using. They'll have that libraries. On top of that library, you have the main application. That is, it can be OpenCV, NumPy, Matplotlib. So these are the main application. Okay. So if you see the top to down approach, you have main application that requires a few libraries here. Okay. That libraries are being communicated through a driver to the actual hardware on the board. Is that clear? Am I audible? Is this flow clear? Because it is very important. This is the actual thing that is happening on the board. Okay. So these are the different boards that are capable of doing this. Okay, this is a Ping Z2, the ZCU104, ZCU111 boards. Okay, so now these different boards, these are the various applications that you can perform on these boards. Okay, so this is the this is like a small example of how the interaction is happening. You have a PS and PL interfaces. Okay, so driver is required for that communication. So that Python library which I earlier mentioned, it is encompassing both of these, that the PS and PL drivers, and that is how the interlinking is happening. So these are some of the different examples here. Okay, so it's an image processing example, and similarly you have various other examples that is already loaded onto the board. Okay, so you'll be having an image. When you burn that image onto the SD card, these predefined examples will already be there. Okay, so this is the command for importing the overlay. We'll see these commands later on. Okay, so we won't be using Xilinx at all in this. Okay, this is an entirely different flow. So you shouldn't confuse between what we learned up till Vivado and what is Ping framework. Both are two different concepts. Don't get them mixed, but they are linked. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Maintain many bit streams on the SD card. Okay, so we'll be having multiple examples there. All these examples require separate bit streams. So these are all available on the SD card, which is already loaded onto the board. We'll talk about the SD card more. Okay. So these are a few of the examples. This is how the Jupyter Notebook interface will look like. Okay. You can run this live and intuitive example. You'll be able to interact with the program, with the code. You can alter the code. You can run it again. You can see the difference. Okay. So it has also different Python libraries. Okay. This is the OpenCV example. This is a Matplotlib. You will be implementing both of these in a simple example there. These are the various applications. They include aerospace, automotive, video system, image processing, wireless communications, and AML applications. This is the ping Z2 board. Okay. So this is the Ethernet connection. This is the Ethernet port. I'll be using this. Okay. I have to connect the Ethernet port from the board to my laptop. It is already connected. Okay. Take an Ethernet cable, plug into the Ethernet port in this laptop, and connect the other side to the board. That is here. This is the JTAG or UART. This will be in normal mode. We'll use this to program the board. But in our case, it is already the bitstream is already there in the SD card, so programming is not required. But two-way communication between my laptop and the board is required. That is where this UART protocol is coming in. Okay, it help in two-way communication between the board to my laptop and laptop to board. This is a DC power in. We won't be requiring that because the board is self-sufficient. Okay, through the JTAG or UART port, it will be drawing the power from your system. Any doubts up till now? Any queries? Is it okay? So it will be helpful for me if we make this a two-way communication. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Okay. So this is the entire setup for the board. Okay. So basically there are three parts that is going in. So this is the Ethernet cable, as I already mentioned, my laptop to the board. Okay. And this is the UART / power cable that is going in. Okay. This is connected to the USB of my laptop, and it is connected to the board. And this is the SD card here. Okay. This SD card, we have to burn it with an image. That image will have the pink library. Okay. You can go to this website. Where to get, I'm talking about where to get this image. Okay. This is the website. You have to go in here. Here you have to select ping Z2. This is the board I'm using. If I scroll down, you can see there are different image versions available. You can use version 2.5 here. You have to download this. I think should be around a few GBs. You can download this file. Once that is downloaded, you have to take the SD card that is there in your box, format it, and burn this image onto the SD card. Okay, then you can insert it onto the board, change the pin configuration.